I've never abused prescription drugs. I've never even used an illegal drug for that matter. But I did OD when I was around 15 or 16 years old. You see, I have asthma and I used to have it really bad. And my parents didn't really care for it too much. They didn't really do much to make it better. So I would sleep in really dirty rooms that were very dusty. And if you ever had an asthma attack, it's a terrible, terrible feeling. Like you can't breathe, and you're just, it's just hopeless. It's helpless. It's this amazing thing that you take for granted that all of a sudden has been taken away from you. Now, there are medicines you can take, and the medicines have gotten a lot better now, and now my asthma is basically completely gone. But when I was in high school, my mom really liked to use this one medication called Theodore or theophylline. It's now not really used very often. And the thing is, when you're really sick with an asthma attack, you are just waiting. You're literally just waiting until you can take your next hit of your inhaler or whatever it is. Like you just sit there and you're just waiting. Like right? And that's you think that's the worst it's going to feel, needing that medicine, needing the drugs. But the actual worst feeling is if, I don't know, your mom loses track somehow or whatever it was. I don't know why they didn't take me to the hospital. They didn't. That's what you're supposed to do, by the way. If you have kids who have a bad asthma attack, just take them to the hospital. They'll be fine. Anyways, they didn't think to do that. So I must have gotten extra theophylline or extra steroid or some kind of extra something. And my heartbeat was like that. And my asthma wasn't any better. So I'm sitting there and I can't breathe and I can't sleep and I am like completely jittery. I'm like a baseball player in the 1960s. I'm just bouncing off the walls, unable to breathe. And I remember I prayed to God. I said, I understand that I'm going, just, please accept my soul. And I wasn't praying for safety. I wasn't praying to be saved. I knew I was going to die. I was preparing for death. I was 15 or 16 years old and I was just like, well, this is it. The only thing that I held on to was the hope that maybe this night would end. Maybe this terrible night, whenever it was, 1992, 93, 94, I don't remember what it was. I know where I was, but when it was, who even cares? I just know that that night I confronted death, I faced it. And the only thing I could think of was hurry up tomorrow. Thank you for auditing the Always Positive New Music Review Show, hosted by a French professor who did make it to that next day. And matter of fact, I've lived more than twice that life. One thing that helped me, I try to keep my sense of humor, so I did have in the back of my head the second track off of Black Sunday by Cypress Hill. I ain't going out like that. I ain't going out like that. I ain't going out. And I'm just going to tell you, I assume I'm going to die someday. I hope in a couple hundred years. But whenever I do, probably the last thought that I will have on planet Earth is, I ain't going out like that. Like that's just what I'm going to do. And the thing that this taught me, this whole experience, is that time moves really strangely when you are in that state. When you really need drugs and you have too many drugs at the same time. It was slow, it was fast. I was patient and impatient all at the same time. Hopefully it's clear that I'm going to be talking about the album Hurry Up Tomorrow by The Weeknd. That's what this is about. And I think this album, even though I can't relate to The Weeknd on almost any life decision he's ever made, or at least that he ever sings about, I can relate to this moment. And I think this is a fascinating thing that he's done by putting us in essentially a bathtub. Okay? He is putting us in a bathtub multiple times throughout the album. I think we're supposed to think of this particular bathtub, okay? That is Whitney Houston's bathtub. That's where she died. That's the actual photo that the coroner took of her bedroom at the time of her death. Thank you, Pusha T. I think we're supposed to put ourselves in that kind of space. And we're trying to be in there, in the bathtub, in his eyes, in his body, thinking about the next day. Thinking about the next day that will come. Because what happens is things are worse at night. At least with asthma, things are worse at night. I don't know why that is. It just is that way. And you just want to hurry up tomorrow. If you can just hold on. And obviously, I don't know The Weeknd super well. I'm not an expert on The Weeknd. If you want to see someone who's an expert on The Weeknd, please go find them. I'm sure there's lots of them. You tell me in the comments. Give me the name of like great Weeknd experts who want to talk about this album, because I totally understand. I have enough respect for the Weeknd to know that whatever this album is for me, it is 10 times that for Weeknd superfans. I can just tell you that it's clear to me that this is an album about death. It's an album about survival. And it doesn't surprise me that the narrative around this is that this is the end of the Weeknd and the birth of Abel, of the person who is playing this persona. But I think it's really important that we don't get too far away from the near-deathness. Because there's two near-deaths. There's the bathtub and there's the concert. There's a concert that he performed, I don't know, 2022 or 18, 22, at the SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles, where he lost his voice, and it was this whole moment. And I think that's a very symbolic death, losing your voice. Some of the best singers of my two favorite singers, or my two favorite voices, are Harry Nilsson and early Willie Nelson. They both just completely wrecked their voices through alcohol and through self-destruction, okay? So the best voice in pop, the best voice in the world, losing his voice is a symbolic death, probably on par with his actual death. So as I'm thinking about this album, about these deaths, the death of his voice, the death of his persona, the actual death of his actual body, of Abel Tesfaye, who could have actually died, I'm sure, multiple times in multiple bathtubs in the exact same way or exactly similar way to Whitney Houston and sadly her daughter, right? And when I think about this album and all of the things I could say that are bad about this album, I think it's that playing with time. I'm going to be very, very generous to this album, okay? I think even though he's a pop star, I think he deserves a lot of grace and a lot of credit for being an amazing artist, a true top-tier artist, okay? He's not Drake, but singing. He is his own thing. He is an amazing artist with a truly God-given voice that he also has worked really well. So I'm going to give him the credit of this. This album, it's too long. It is too long. I follow my colleague from Connecticut on Threads. Anyways, he had a whole thing like, this album is effing 90 minutes long, and that's how I felt too. You know, I'm a music critic. I don't want to review a 90-minute album. I go to the gym for like 45 minutes a day. That's as much time as I can get these days with having two babies and a teenager, right? But like, I can't do a 90-minute album and do it justice, but it needs to be. And I think it needs to be because of the way it plays with time. There are contradictions to this album, like many great albums. I love talking about contradictions, one of my favorite topics. There are contradictions, so I'm just going to try and move this light so it looks a little bit better. Did that do anything? No. There are contradictions that I think it's too long and it needs to be because you want the album to be over. I think when you listen to it, I think even if you're a Weeknd fan, I think you're sort of saying, okay, yeah, another song. Oh, you're going to keep all the singles in there, are you? Okay, no, we're still going, are we? You want to talk about the bathtub one more time? Well, you just go right ahead. Okay, religious stuff, throw some religious stuff in there. You kind of say, hurry up tomorrow. And tomorrow, in the case of this album, is both the birth of whoever Abel Tesfaye is going to be when he's no longer the Weeknd, and the death of the Weeknd. And so that's how I feel. And I feel even in the production, it's not, most albums that are too long because there's a lot of half-baked bread. Okay, it's like, just put in the next loaf. We're just going to keep going, get more clicks, more streams, more quarter of a cent. We just got to keep this puppy rolling. This album is produced to hell. I mean, there are songs on here that feel like they are just filler tracks that have some of the most beautiful moments on the entire album. It is like simultaneously, each song is a very precious, wonderful thing with these amazing melodies and great production. And at the same time, most of the songs feel like they could either be sort of excised or just put into another one, and it's just kind of a vibe. It manages to do that. It doesn't have the structure of Dawn FM, which is somewhere behind me on that side, I think. But it does feel like a spiritual continuation. And it does feel like this excess, this numbness you get from listening to the album, it might be on purpose. It might be to actually, and now listen, I know on Culture United recently, Friday Ricky Dredd, the bravest person in hip-hop criticism space to come on and defend Drake, was trying to say that Drake's music is bad to get at his record label. Okay, I'm not saying that, but it is possible that it is intentionally this almost hypnotically long. My main issue, and this might sound weird, but there are too many standout songs. There's too many songs that just kind of fit this atmosphere. And then if you have an album that's this long and fits this atmosphere, just do that the whole time. And then there's these other songs, which I guess were mostly singles, that just kind of pop up and make you feel like they sort of don't fit in. So it's interesting because my favorite moment on this album is probably my favorite moment of any Weeknd song not on Donda, okay? And I don't think you can guess what it is, even if you're a Weeknd super fan. It's one of these songs that just like, I was like, yeah, I don't know. It's fine. It could be over. Frankly, the whole album could be over, and then this moment happens, and that's what I'm talking about. You never know when this album's going to kick into gear. We do have a gigantic hole in our heart, us lovers of hip hop and R&B and pop music right now. That hole, well, there's many. Okay, one of them is Michael Jackson, and obviously The Weeknd has filled in that space quite nicely with his beautiful voice and his tortured persona. There's also Daft Punk, and the fact that there are multiple songs on this album which are either produced by Justice or Max Martin should give like 10,000 krone to Justice because he's ripping off Justice so bad it makes me angry. It makes me think I misread the goddamn credits. Max Martin paid Justice for ripping them off, even doing the same damn bass trick. So it's like you can fill in one void. And then even if you think about it, Daft Punk themselves were trying to fill in a void with Michael Jackson because they were always just trying to be the next extension of Michael Jackson. And then also, this is a thing which you may not know, but there was a TV show last year called The Idol. Now, Lily Rose Depp was in it. She was wonderful. 070 Shake's Paramore. She was in Nosferatu. I really enjoyed that. But there was actually a musician in that TV show as well, which most people don't know. And that he was the real star of the show, basically directed the whole thing. Really, the whole show was about him. I'm talking about Mike Dean. And Mike Dean is the other thing that we've been missing. Because Kanye and Mike Dean working together, Kanye brings out the best in Mike Dean brings out the best in Kanye. When we look back at this era in music, we're going to say, oh man, they split up the pair. They split up the most simpatico producing team of the 2010s, right? So Mike Dean really is driving the ship here, way more than Max Martin, who did a ton on Dawn FM, way more than 10 Tricks Point Never, right? Like, it's really Mike Dean's album, and I really had a huge hole in my heart missing Mike Dean production on stuff like this, so I'm really happy to have it. There's also a lot of Giorgio Moroder on here, which is interesting because that actually ties back into Daft Punk because, Giorgio by Moroder was a track off of Random Access Memories. They helped to usher in a new appreciation of Giorgio Moroder's music, the stuff he produced for Donna Summer, the soundtrack work he did. Here it's mostly soundtrack work that's influenced Midnight Express and Scarface, and Not American Gigolo, which is one of my favorite Moroder themes. Anyways, it's like all these things coming together. If you are like me, and over the past 10 to 15 years, you've gained a deeper appreciation of Michael Jackson just from listening to more of his music, if you've deepened your love of Kanye West, if you've abandoned both Kanye West and Michael Jackson because of how they make you feel when you listen to them based on the facts of their life, Like when you've been getting into Justice and when you've been getting into Daft Punk and you've been getting into Justice and Daft Punk and Mike Dean, all that. Like, I'm glad it's 90 minutes. This is stuff that we want. Okay. All right. Now let's get started. I'm going to go through the album track by track, and really the first track exemplifies the whole thing. The first track is called "Wake Me Up." Now this is a cover of the song by Wham, Andy Ridgely and George Michael. Wake me up before you go, and then I'm going to sell you some blow. I get one joke a video. I used it on that one. I should have written the joke song beforehand. If you like what you see, smash the like button, subscribe. AVAA stands for awesome video as always. You can put that anywhere in the comments. Now, Wake Me Up, this is that whole theme, right? The whole theme, again, imagine you're in the bathtub and you are the Weeknd. I heard this song and I said, it's in my notes, so I don't have a script, I just have notes. And it literally says, they better pay Justice for how badly they're ripping off Justice. And then I looked it up, and it is Justice. First of all, if you didn't like hyperdrama, and you didn't like women, and you didn't like audio, video, disco, whatever the hell that album is called, you are really missing out. You need to give Justice more credit and grace, because they don't have one good album and then 3 disappointing ones. They have 4 great albums. But this is what everybody wants them to do. This song is a track off of Cross. It could easily be off their first album. And I love it. I love it because it's their little proof. Oh, you want compressed, distorted synthesizers and cut up bass and epic cinematic feels and sort of a classical, semi-baroque kind of jam going on here. You can have it. We can do this anytime. We're Justice. We're whatever the guys in Justice's names are. I want to say Gaspar was one of them. There's one that has a super American sounding name, right? But then a weird French last name. Doesn't matter. This song really goes into that feeling. It really feels like Justice. So like Justice with The Weeknd is like the way that Daft Punk used The Weeknd to replace Michael Jackson, and now the person they used to replace Michael Jackson is replacing Daft Punk. Do you kind of see the continuity here? And then the interpolation of a sample from Scarface, that's what it says online. I haven't found it myself, but the soundtrack to Scarface is one of the weirdly influential soundtracks of all time, just because it's such a popular movie. But like, that's everything on this album. Michael Jackson, Daft Punk, Scarface, the whole feeling of being in a bathtub and wait for me to wake up. And even the most Justice-y moment with a little snap here. And I use the word Baroque, but that's actually not a good description, because it's not Baroque. Like, it's very simple. It's very sort of triumphal. But it's this kind of like synthesizer sound that they use. That's this kind of horn sound. That's not really Baroque, but it's very presentational. It feels like some kind of classical music, some kind of presentation. These great low rumbling synths and like, sorry, I've been teaching my 2-year-old about Star Wars. All these rumbling synths, do it. This like, all I have is my legacy. I'm losing memory. There's no afterlife. Life is hard. Death is easy. I'm going to go back to that weird day there in Belmont, Massachusetts, when I was in that room with too many mirrors. Why were there so many mirrors in that room? I don't know. It is a thing you think of when you're in that much pain. You just go, well, the nice thing about dying is I don't have to be in this kind of pain anymore. Of course, it's not true. Keep living. Life is the only luxury that's been given to us on earth. That's it. That's the only luxury you can count on, is living and health. And if you lose your health, or you lose your life, then you really lost something really important. So hold on to your life, hold on to your health as much as possible. Oh, weird sponsorship. Little girl likes her brain. Wake me up, come find me. It feels like I'm dying. Sun is rising. So right off the bat, the whole theme of the sun is rising. And this is what I'm talking about. The last track of the album is all about the sun is rising. Okay? It's like the whole album is like, hurry up tomorrow. I'm just starting off on this journey. We're walking to the goddamn Mount Doom with The Ring on this album. You know, it's like, when is the sun going to rise? When is the face going to be graced by sun? When is tomorrow going to happen? On the very first song, you're like, hurry up, tomorrow. Next song is Cry For Me, which starts off a little bit darker, but then gets some kind of Latin-y beats here. I really just, the voice. It turns out this is co-produced by Metro Boomin, which I don't hear, which is great, because Metro Boomin is a lot more than just what you think he is. I'm not breathing, slowly bleeding. I wish I told you all my feelings. I hope I live life for a reason. But at least you'll play this song when I'm gone. I hope you cry for me like I cry for you. So he's dead again? I mean, really? Does this help you? This helped me, this image, to really understand where he is, like what he's looking at. I think this is what he's looking at. And I'm not trying to disrespect the memory of Whitney Houston, by the way. She's a wonderful artist, and it's a sad story that she lost her battle with addiction, right? But I think this is the end that he's seeing. There's so many parts to this song. Like sometimes I think, oh, this could be a pop hit, and then other times there's like this bridge with this. In my notes, I wrote ominous woodblock. You tell me what that means. Professor Skye? Yes. What is an ominous woodblock? I don't know. And then it like pitches down, and then we get this moment. I can't effing sing. And this is his anger at not singing. And I suspect that overdosing is way less scary for the Weeknd than losing his voice. I just imagine, because his voice is what's carried him to where he is. Sorry, my dog just stood up. I don't know what he's doing. Bo, what you up to, buddy? Your dog bed's right back there. Uh-oh, he's making that face. Okay, I'm going to make sure he's okay. I'll be right back. This right here, yeah, he's about to, oh my God. I got to go clean that up. I don't know how much of that you saw. I can't really tell. I don't see my camera anymore. But, it is sort of on theme because Bo is taking a lot more medicine. He has some liver issues. So I guess he had his own little OD moment. I apologize. There's verisimilitude, and then there's a dog boofing on screen. So anyways, I can't effing sing. And again, I think this is the worst thing for him, is to lose his voice. That's the thing that brought him to where he is. That's his soul. That's like the one thing about him that cannot be taken away. That's like his eternal beauty. And it's really heartbreaking to think of him not being able to sing. And then this is where we get to one of those singles. We get to Sao Paulo, which, if I have to be honest, is totally my favorite song on the album. It's not even close. I could listen to this song just all the time. Like Brazilian funk produced by Mike Dean with this Anitta sample. And when you read the translation, put it in your mouth, put it in your face, put it where you want. Love it. Just great ratty synths. I think they're just kind of biting JPEG Mafia. I think he was the first guy to really bring in the Brazilian funk into kind of American music or North American music, depending on how things go over the next 4 years. But I just, the thing though, is that with all this Brazilian funk, because I'm not familiar with Brazilian funk. I'm vaguely aware of it whenever a rapper or R&B singer samples it. But I just want to get back to that part. Like, I just can't wait for the polka, 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 polka. It's awesome. I'm just waiting for Anitta to come back. And then it's just New Slaves. Now listen, Mike Dean co-produced that song, right? Mike Dean co-produced all of these. Mike Dean co-produced the best album of this century, okay? So I guess he can do that. It's a bit weird. And then just bringing back the, polka, just get it, and then a full Justice style breakdown again. And then like the song just keeps going. It changes the plot. It's like, is he improvising? Did he write these lyrics down? She's desensitized to money, need to pay with something else. What, Weeknd? And then hit it from the back. And there's a church part with these synths and this thumping bass drum. It is so extra. It is so wild. It feels like it should be on a different song because this whole album is about dying in a bathtub and finding God and hoping that the next morning will come and praying that your mom stops giving you Theodores. God, man. It's wild. It's wild. That one experience like really marked my life. Seriously. Next song is called Until We're Skin and Bones, which is just like one of these very short songs, kind of like a Can't Effing Sing. Sort of a filler, I assume, to get an extra quarter of a cent on each thing. And I'm not faulting him. You know, people like The Weeknd have an entire universe of people who depend on him to pay them, right? So it's not just him getting money. It's him and his team and his team's assistant and his team's assistant's assistant, you know, so that's fine. I'll give them my well, actually, I use Tidal, so I'll give him my cent every time I listen to Until We're Skin and Bones. And then we get to Baptized in Fear, which is where we get to the real heart of the album. The real idea that this is a conversion scene. Okay? This is a conversion scene. This is a ballad. He's asleep in the bathtub. He can only move his toe. Okay? He's having that moment. Figure in the corner I can't. Am I trying to sing like The Weeknd here? No. Finger in the corner. Okay. The lyric is not finger in the corner. Figure in the corner I can't quite see. I know the shadow staring at me. Obviously it's death. It gets closer, it gets closer. Figure in the corner laughing at me. Water fill my lungs, vision blurry, heartbeat slower, heartbeat slower, heartbeat slower. Really, you feel it, right? You feel the ODing in the bathtub and this idea of the water being the baptism, that he goes under the water and he's able to come up, because that's the thing, right? Like he's reaching the bottom. This is, in theory, his bottom, where he's going to be reborn. He even makes reference to Paul, you know, who was Saul of Tarsus until he was on the road to Damascus. Where was he going? You tell me in the comments where Saul of Tarsus was going. Was he going back to Tarsus? Where is Tarsus? So many questions for you theologians out there. The point is, the voices tell me I should carry on, and that's the hope in this album. And maybe that's what I like about this album, is that a lot of his early hits, like the first song I ever heard was I Can't Feel My Face, and I was like, God damn it. Between this and Hot Tub Time Machine, cocaine usage has been way too normalized in pop culture. You think I'm wrong. You see those two things together. What's going on here? Next track's called Open Hearts. Or as they call it in Boston, Open Hats. Max Martin, you Swedish demon, pay justice money. Bass slaps, synths, what is this? Like, seriously, did I read it wrong? Did I read it wrong and this is actually justice? Or is this like Max Martin using Justice AI? Anyways, fallen angels call my name, but the things you say keeps me alive again. Where do I start? When I open my heart, it's never easy falling in love again. Cover my scars when I open my arms. If I had a problem with this album, and I have some problems with the album, sometimes it feels like it's like, you will save me, girl. Girl, please save me. Girl, clean up my puke on the floor. But sometimes it's God, and I understand those can be fluid. And listen, I'm not like the poetry police here. Pickle Lane, Abel. But it is a little bit confusing because I actually really prefer the God stuff here. Not for nothing, but I watch movies while I listen to music when I'm at the gym. So and it's just random, whatever's on. So yesterday I watched Foxy Brown, which I'd never seen before. And when I was watching this was the scene where the nurse, a dude, starts having sex, and he gets interrupted by the nurse, and the nurse just straight up slaps his dong. It's it's a really funny scene. And then today, it was Juice. So I was watching some great movies while listening to this weekend. That was not a pun. I love the 80s sound. Like, he does the 80s sound so well, and maybe I'm being weird about it, but like, no, let me get into this. The truth about 80s nostalgia is that it's often nostalgia for pre-hip-hop America, pre-hip-hop culture. It's sort of nostalgia for a more white supremacist time, or more successfully white supremacist time. Like a sort of America itself was in the throes of nostalgia for the 50s, and so it's all these different ways of trying to get around the 60s and the effects of the civil rights movement and all that. So like I grew up in the 80s, I love it, but it's not a coincidence that so much of it is focused on suburban American life, white suburban American life. So when I hear 80s nostalgia stuff made by dudes and ladies who look like me, it sometimes makes me uncomfortable. So somebody who is not white, who did not benefit from Reaganomics, who did not benefit from the widening wealth gap and from the rejection of the civil rights movement, using 80s soundscapes is easier for me to stomach. Sometimes people get mad at me when I inject politics into my videos. And to you, I say, what did you think? You think you can be a humanist and a conservative at the same time? Be out of your mind. I'm a humanist. I don't even say leftist anymore. I'm a humanist. Anyways, long live human beings. Opening night, down with death. Opening night, it's this fun energy, It's this fun energy. These like telephone sounds that start and stop beat. Yeah. It's my opening night. Circulation's gone. Shaking on the floor. Steroids in my lungs. Fighting off the mud. Give me what I want and we'll start the show. God damn. That was a sad one right there, especially the steroids in my lungs, because with the asthma you take a lot of steroids. I've had arthritis since I was like 31 years old. I think it's because of all the steroids. I think because all the Theodore I took. Theodore. But this is wild because this is heroin. He's talking about heroin. You can't fix with anything but heroin, I don't think. You tell me, you druggies. I'm not calling you a druggie. I'm calling the other person who's watching this video. I thought fixing can only refer to like tying up around your arms and shooting in. It's really rough, and it really ties into the theme really quite nicely. Reflections, laughing, which I think we're back to this figure in the corner. Can we not? Let's get cute. I'm going to get cute. Can we not imagine that the figure in the back, the figure in the corner that's death, that's facing him, might also be his blurry reflection? Okay? Holding this just makes me want to listen to this album again. The games we play. What an album this is. Santeria. God, what a great album. Anyways, like it might be looking at the reflection of himself that's laughing. Like the death that is laughing at the Weeknd in the bathtub might actually just be a reflection of himself. It comes in straight from the last song, the soaring guitar. Again, just guitar. Mike Dean's great at guitar and smoking bongs. This kind of a vibe, and you have this phone message, and you think you're done. You think you're done with the song, and then Travis Scott pops up. I keep underestimating Travis Scott, and that's my bad, okay? Listen, I'm 47 years old. I started this channel in 2018. I missed Astroworld, okay? So I've just been Utopia and After with him. But this verse, this slowed down verse, and he co-produced the song, so I assume he's doing it. I don't know why it's so good, but I get it. I get it. Look around this B word while the DJ set cut up. Flashes from the pics in my sections while I'm fucked up. Bad B word, been waiting to get with. Hope I don't nut up. Yeah, nut up. This ish is trouble. Been hitting licks, seeing splits, doing double. No, it's no events. Check my temp, watch it bubble. Just like the whole thing. The lyrics aren't particularly good, but the way he delivers it and his voice just slightly slowed down. Like oh my God, I'm going to use such a Gen Z slang here. He understood the assignment, but he did understand the assignment. Be on a Weeknd album. If you're going to be on a Weeknd album, this is it. Like this is going to the, he's from Houston, right? But this is the true feeling that you're supposed to get from chopped music, from slowed down music, that you're actually having your entire system slowed down by opiates. Okay, so the one part I don't like about this album, the thing I hate the most, is the thing I've always disliked about The Weeknd, the thing that made me not get into his early stuff, is how much of his stuff is initiation, right? He even has a song called Initiation, right? But it's all like, I'm a sexy guy and everyone wants to be with me, and if you want to be with me, I'll be with you, but you have to let me drag you into a life of addiction and misery. And just the constant refrains of that over and over and over and over and over again. And that wasn't really on Donald FM. Uh, and it wasn't on this album, except for this one song where there's a voicemail of someone saying, like, you're too messed up. You missed the show in Dallas. Come on. What's wrong with you? And then at the very end, that same person's like, what does that shit feel like anyways? It's just depressing, you know? And by the way, what does it feel like? Okay. It feels great. That's the whole point of drugs. It feels really great. And then if you're lucky, you don't want to feel that way again. And if you do want to feel that way again, it feels like that. So, you know. But if you're wondering how drugs feel, they feel good. That's the whole point. That's why they're drugs, you know? I mean, there's plenty of drugs that don't feel good. Theophylline didn't feel good. You didn't want to abuse theophylline. Anyways, sorry. I'm so preachy. For a Theo head, I'm really preaching. Enjoy the show. There's pitched up something, and Mike Dean's working super hard. Little bottle clink sounds, this soulful voice. I'm not scared. F it, overdose. No one thought I'd make it past 24. When the curtains call, I hope you mourn. Going back to the same theme again. Hurry up tomorrow. We've already heard this song. This was already the first song. He's already saying the same thing again. But I think it's on purpose. I think it's extending it out. I think we're stuck in the bathtub. And then Dawn FM did something which I've never seen before. It was a great album with a terrible Lil Wayne feature. This album is a great album with a terrible feature. I just don't like it at all. The weird singing and then just a standard verse. And I guess it's cool he said I'm in my feelings because maybe that's a shot at Drake. And I like the pitched up sample, but just, I don't know. I want to die when I'm at my peak. Weeknd comes back. I don't want to make it past 34. So I think this is on purpose. I think the idea is this, that he never wanted to make it past 24s and he wanted to die before he was that age. And now he doesn't want the Weeknd to make it past 34 and he wants to be able again. Enjoy the show. Give Up on Me, Metro, and Mike Dean producing, Nina Simone sample. All I don't even know if it's slowed down because her voice can sound like it's slowed down, but it's just really messed up the way it is. And then there's little Cool in the Gang, Summertime Sadness style or Madness. One of them is the Lana Del Rey song. Other one is Cool in the Gang song. You tell me in the comments which one it is. And what's funny about this? Wait a minute. Wait, let me look at my notes here. Yeah, okay. No, I was wrong about that. Yeah. Then there's like a break in the song again, and like Future comes back out of nowhere. And then there's some sample, I Never Could Leave You Alone. And then we have this point. Remember I was talking to you? I don't like this song that much. It's not that good. This song has probably my favorite Future moment of any time off of besides Donda. The middle of this song where it's just piano and strings and his voice. I'm becoming one of those guys. You have such a beautiful voice. Why do you need all the blips and bloops to get in the way? Now, don't get me wrong. There's still lots of great stuff happening production-wise in the background. A little weirdness, a little bleeps and bloops. But the way he sings, it keeps calling me back, the sunshine. I can feel the warmth of my skin, on my skin for the first time. When I'm far away from you, babe, I'm on fire. To me, I read this as like, we're still hurry up tomorrow and we're starting to feel the sun. I can't wait to get there. More beautiful singing. This is weird because he's singing over these synths and it's great. But the melody and the keyboards, it makes me think, and just you tell me if I'm wrong about this. Okay, it's not a sample, but it's a soul sample of Never Can Say Goodbye by the Jackson 5. Okay, I think it's a Burt Bacharach song, but their version of it. In the middle, oh no, oh no, no, oh no, no. You know that part? Like there's like 5 parts in this song where I could put that in there. Love Me, Say You Do, Let Me Fly Away With You. Then we get to Timeless, the song with Playboi Carti. I keep getting comments like on videos like, are you going to talk about the AI thing and Timeless? No, I don't know what that thing is. You can tell me in the comments. I don't know what it is. What is the AI thing? I don't know. Niagara Falls is probably my least favorite song on the album. I like the pitched up sample, but it's a bit boring. Also, I live like an hour and a half from Niagara Falls, so I was kind of hoping it'd be more about Niagara Falls. Some story about like someone who he is with, and she had a baby daddy, and this is kind of sleepy. And then it gets awesome. And then there's this weird like declarative synth line with lots of space, and then it ends with "Set My Heart on Fire" and "The Sky is Burning Bright," and then "Take Me Back to LA." He pushed this album back by a couple weeks because LA is on fire. I think this might be part of the reason why, because the next song is called "Take Me Back to LA." So it's kind of weird, right? Because it's like "The Sky is Burning Bright," "Set My Heart on Fire," "Take Me Back to LA." LA, the sky is burning bright because it's on fire back in LA. "Take Me Back to LA" is a continuation of that awesome melody from Niagara Falls. So in my opinion, just keep that. Just keep that. Just keep this song. This 4-note melody with just so much space. I love that they use I say I love too much. I love San Dimas. I love that they use not 808s, they use other 80s style drum machines. And again, "Where the Sun Will Kiss My Face." This is the first song I think that could sound like it might have just actually been for The Idol, which I keep threatening doing a review of. No one cares about it now. But I thought that show had a lot of truly great things which merit study and admiration. And it had the single worst ending to any TV or movie in world history. Period. I like how the song is simultaneously about going back to LA and going back where it snows, so I assume Canada. Then we get to Big Sleep, kind of 70s soundtrack. My God, this is too long, y'all. I'm tired of talking about this album. Hurry up tomorrow. I mean, I also had that whole break in there with the whole Bow event. If I don't get your like, okay. This is another Giorgio Moroder sample. It seems like it's replayed though, because it's the melody, but it's the melody being sung by him, la la la. Totally just, and I guess, then, Weeknd, man. You okay, brah? What do they say up there? Crody, are you okay, Crody? What is going? He's like, I love, what's the line? It's like, I love it when you're angry. I'm looking at you like, no, as I make you can go. I don't want, I fucked it. Like, that's how the song just goes completely south. I love it. There's even, I think it's on purpose, a Strawberry Fields Forever style flute freakout just for a half a second, and it pitches down and becomes this synth march. We used up your borrowed life. You wasted your borrowed time. Big Sleep, Big Sleep. If you've never seen the movie Big Sleep, you must watch it. It was the basis of Big Lebowski in many real ways. It's one of the most enjoyable movies. And let me tell you why The Big Sleep is so great. It was made and it worked and it made sense, and then they re-edited it so that it made less sense. Then some like vocoder sounds reciting that prayer you say at night. And the whole question is like, is this grandiose? Is this pomposity? Or is this great? I think this album is great. But if you think it's pompous, I get it. Next song is called "Give Me Mercy," featuring Uncle Jesse, produced by Mike Dean. Okay, I guess I got 2 jokes. Very slowly arpeggiated chords on the synthesizer. A lot of this stuff reminds me too of Wendy Carlos Williams's music. She's the one who did the switched on Bach and the kind of early Moog synthesizer stuff. It has a lot of this feels like old synthesizer, like 70s style, and then it becomes this like full Michael Jackson shuffling hi-hat, great vibe, and "Give me mercy and forgive me like you do." So I thought this was going to be another like, "I'm sorry that I cheated on you 10 different times, and 3 of those times was with family members, and I know you said, and then I stole money, and then I got high, and I crashed your father's car, and I ran over your dog, but would you forgive me?" It's not one of those songs. It's actually talking about God, because I like it because I don't think he's praying to God to go to heaven. I think he's praying to God to be the kind of person who could go to heaven. Like, he's praying to be reborn in this bathtub. Then we get to Drive, just the exhilaration of driving and a stuttered drum machine, and then Fame is a Disease. This might have been an Idol outtake as well. Although he wasn't driving. His hands were not on the wheel. That's all I'll say. If you've seen The Idol, you know, if you know, you know. You got the tennis balls for the wrong sport, buddy. Next song's The Abyss. Uh, just a grand piano, these descending lines and the singing. Hey, if Abel comes back and The Weeknd is no more, and it's just like a high quality pianist, high quality pianist, and it's just them like a duet, that would just be so good. A lot of this is letting go of his persona. I'd rather leave somewhat of a legacy, close my eyes with dignity, so much of this dignity, see you on the other side, hurry up tomorrow. And then Lana Del Rey's on this. I don't know. I mean, I like Lana Del Rey a lot, but I don't know. She's maybe too close. Like her persona, I know they've worked together, right? Because there's I'm a motherfucking star girl, right? Didn't she do Star Girl? Anyways, my daughter will tell you when she does her own YouTube channel in 10 years. But like, I don't know. I didn't like her on this. Like, I don't think she's particularly interesting on here. Then we get to Red Terror. I don't know. I don't know this song because it's about birth, but he doesn't have kids. But it's about like, he's basically making a song apologizing for being kind of a deadbeat husband or a deadbeat baby daddy or a deadbeat father before having kids, which is good. It's good he doesn't have kids. You came out so precious in the snow, you would grow, your mama loves you, you'll never be alone. It's like, you can be there. Anyways, it's an interesting idea. It's sort of, hey, look what I have behind the camera right now. I have this because of a different video, but it's kind of like that song on Brat. That song on Brat where she's all like, oh, I've been thinking about it all the time. I want to have little babies. I forget the melody. I think that was it. I want to have little babies. It went like that. But a similar thing, mid-30s, figuring out if you want to have kids. And then there's this poem about death being nothing at all. So I guess this is imagining him having a kid and then dying. Him dying in the bathtub, I guess, without a warning. Fancy plotting synthesizers here take me to a time when I was young and my heart could take all the drugs and heartache without loss, but now my bones are frail. That's the thing, like, man, like, I am trying to preach, but like, I used to smoke cigarettes, right? So I haven't always done great things. And I remember, like, one of the reasons I had to stop was I realized I was hurting my heart. And sometimes I think about my heart and I think, like, man, what an awesome dude. My heart is such an awesome dude. The entire time I've been alive, it's been pumping blood all over the place. And it's never stopped. Not when I sleep, not at all. It's just this little dude down there. He's just like, go, 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 go all the time. And like, I'm going to try to mess up his game. I'm gonna throw. He's sitting there. He's got a triple double, and I'm gonna like give one of those stupid jerseys with the sleeves, and I'm gonna deflate his basketball and just throw him out there and be like, it's your game. Anyways, I like the idea my heart could take the drugs and the heartache without loss. This is kind of a middle-aged album, which I think is good. And he again talks about his voice failing and his tears falling and the crowd will feel my pain. Hope you love me till the day. What's interesting here is he talks about like, what is it that he says here? He talks about basically dying on stage and the importance of the stage. And this reminded me of another interesting kind of middle-aged rock and roll album. It's Only Rock and Roll by the Rolling Stones. If I could pull my heart out on stage and throw it out on stage. I have no, by the way, England, I did 3 videos in a row about English artists, one of them with someone from England. So you can forgive my terrible accent. Then we end with Hurry Up Tomorrow, the angelic synth voicing, the death of Weeknd, these piano chords, burn me with your light, I see heaven after life, I want heaven when I die, I want to change, I want the pain no more, I want heaven when I die. He's not dying. He's seeing another day, much like little teenage Professor Skye sitting there, okay? Sitting there all the way back in his little room with too many mirrors. He's sitting there. I want heaven when I die. He knows if he dies in this bathtub, okay? If he dies in this bathtub, then he's not going to heaven. He needs to be reborn. He needs to die and be reborn, not just die. Drowning in the tub where I learned to swim. This almost has a 50s feel to it too. These kind of like nice kind of box chords that resolve. And according to everything I've read on the internet, this leads perfectly into his first album, the first song off the first album, which is called like, what's it called? Something or other. I don't know. I mean, World of Balloons is the name of the album. House of Balloons? Doesn't matter. The only reason I bring that up is because I love The Weeknd. I love his music, but I will not front and pretend like I'm a super fan who's been with him since day one. I jumped on with Don FM, and I love these two albums. And every time I hear his music, I'm happy. Every time I hear his features, I'm happy. Every time I'm at the supermarket and it's a Weeknd song instead of a Coldplay song, I pump my fists, you know? But this song and this ending makes me understand that I'm missing something. You know, my wife went to see the second Avengers movie, the second Infinity War or Endgame, went and saw Endgame with us. And first of all, that movie sucks, just period. Just even if you have seen the rest of the movies, it sucks. But you cannot believe how much that movie sucked for her because she had no context of anything. To a certain degree, this is the end of a 6-part movie. And I just, you know, I'm super happy that other people are having fun and I'm able to appreciate it as it being the thing that it is. Now, I need to thank my Patreons, which I will. Let me get up and get my microphone. Get my sheet here. So they give me money to buy music. I was listening to this morning, and my wife was like, "Is this The Weeknd?" And I'm like, "It is." And she was really happy that she recognized it. So you can join me on Patreon. I did my vlog today, actually. I talked all about my new setup and how it is actually a love story. It's a love story, my new setup. So you can find out about that. So these are my Patreon. And also I asked them if they would like a specific shout out. If I remember, I will ask and offer a specific shout out. And so some of them said yes. These are their names. Will Neuenfeld. I don't know if that person's actually from Germany or just has a German name. Nolan002. I feel like I've had other Nolans. I wonder if that's the same one or a second one. And then Landon does not want a shout out, but Landon has a friend named Nick, and he wants to give a shout out for Nick. So Landon, you get no shout outs. None for you. Put that back. Give it to Nick. Nick, you get 2. Kenny GK apparently saw The Weeknd in 2012 and is going to go see him again soon. And then Cindy Bunn also wanted a shout out. So there we go. Now, in case you're wondering, is the dog okay? Let's look at him. Bo, you okay, buddy? Listen, I'm just going to end. I'm gonna go pat Bo now and just make sure he's okay. Give him some water and stuff, you know? Because he just had his own moment. All right, till next time. There's the camera.